Hello everyone, I'm Denise Love. Here's a little preview of what we're going to be doing today. So let's get started. Alright, so I've been having so much fun this week in the graphite stuff that I thought I would do some of my little abstract pieces that are a little bit larger, maybe two different colors just to get outside of the blue-green. So I might do one in blue-green because I like it. And then I might do the other one. Let's just do the other one in this yummy, whatever these two end colors are here. Let's start with those and just see where we can go. And I'm kind of going to play a little bit with opacities and getting that to really do some granulation because I like it, and maybe just we can get between the two colors, we can get, you know, more color variations than we won't have to put like so many other colors in it because it's dark light. We can kind of do that. Just playing here, just thinking out loud, giving you some ideas and seeing, you know, what can we make? Where can we end up if we do this? Okay, so that's like a brown and a purple. That is what that is. So I almost want a pretty like orange, like, let me get some more water in here because I want these to be more watery. Give me some little watery spots here, less vivid, because I fully recognize that I like lots of pigment, and sometimes, you know, I'm looking for very heavy, very pigmented, not keeping the opacity. I'm very heavy-handed on purpose. That's what I like. And once you discover some of these things that you like, do more of it. And I know I like a lot of pigment. I don't have to have everything, you know, in there with all the transparency. And I'm good with lots of yummy color and pigment and what have you going on. Look how pretty that is. Okay, let's do the blue-green because I love it. But again, I know I'm very heavy-handed with the pigment and the color, and that's what I like. It's not a lack of knowing how to use watercolor or understanding that, you know, more water gives you less pigment. It's because I like it. You know, I was using Daniel Smith on something and somebody was like, you're ruining the beautiful transparency of that color by adding that white or whatever it was I was doing with the piece of art. And I thought, oh, you know, don't ever be so close-minded about your supplies. I want you to play and push them in new ways, and it doesn't matter if anybody else likes how you use it or not. The supplies, there's more. There's more watercolor, there's more paint, there's more out there. There is not a shortage, and if you want to play and add lots of pigment and do things like I do it, go for it. If you want to mix in white to make it look more gouache white like, go for it. I mean, that's what these are for. They're made to experiment and to play and to push in new directions, because you discover things that way. You'll be like, oh, I never knew this did this. Oh my gosh, most favorite thing ever. And it might take you in a whole new direction for another collection. And that's why I do and play and experiment. But I do like heavy pigment. So we'll say that the goal for today's play is transparency in addition to opacity, because I'm on a little transparency opacity kick, especially with mixing watercolor and gouache. But I thought, let's do something a little different today and mix different colors of graphite. I was on a little graphite kick last year, and I did like a whole series of Skillshare classes that are graphite and gold, mixing graphite pink, you name it, I did it. And those are the best and some of my still favorite projects and classes. I'm just going to come in here. I'm still just using two colors, and look at all the variation that we get from the light to the dark. I could even come back, lift some of the color off the light if I'm losing some of the light. Let me wash that brush out, and let's see if I can even lift some of this back up. And See, you can get it even thinner. So play with that. I want you to see, you know, what can you do if you do it this way, or if you do it that way, or can you lift some of this back up and add some opacity or transparency in there where you kind of lost it, and just play and see, like, what can you get? What can you make? What can you create? Oh, see, love that. I like all the darkness and the movement and the things that we've got going on in there. I can make some marks now if I want, or I can wait until this is dry. And some of this too, like especially right here, the heavier the pigment is on these graphite things, the more graphite concentration that you get. And we can actually take the back of a spoon. I keep a spoon up here just for this. Once this is dry, we could burnish that with the back of a spoon, just rubbing that spoon on it, and we can make that silver pop. We will see that metallic shine in there. So also keep that in mind. Anywhere that's kind of heavy, the light areas, you've dispersed all that into something that's probably not going to let you see that graphite sheen, but this definitely you can see it. So we can do some, let's just wait. I'm gonna let this dry and I'll be right back. Just happened to think as I was just sitting here waiting on paint to dry, maybe we'll add a little salt here to our piece. So I've got my little salt container up here, and I'm just using sea salt, and I've still got enough wet, maybe right through here, that I can get some texture out of there. And I might not, but we'll just see. Maybe I can get a little texture out of this piece here, and that'll just kind of add to my texture that I'm hopefully going to have. And it may be too dry. I may have sat here for a moment too long, but I just started looking, thinking, ooh, what if? And then I thought, let's pull that salt down and just add a little texture in there. It doesn't have to be a lot, doesn't have to be lots of places. This might be too dry up here, but we'll try it. But it's sometimes fun to just be strategic and just see before it completely dries. The salt does no good if it's wet, like this spot right here, but the salt does great if it's still damp and you can see the dampness. But then if it's too dry, it doesn't really suck any of the water and make a spot. So it's kind of a timing thing. So we'll just see how I timed that. And I'm going to let these dry. I'll be right back. Alright, I walked away and came back, and let's just see if we can get this salt off. I got a little old card, and I just very carefully pull the salt with the card. And if you're dry, you shouldn't be smearing anything with that. And then I can just put that salt back in my container. And I could put the salt in a different container too. I just kind of put it back in this, and I have clean salt underneath. But this salt's big enough where I don't have to brush it off and then throw it away. I just put some back in here. And somebody asked in one of my groups how you get the big color that pulls the color off, like when you use salt. And I'll be honest, most of my salt always makes a little salty texture, and it could be type of paint, could be type of paper, could be a type of salt. So if you're looking for like a specific look with your salt, practice and play and experiment just like we do with the paints and the papers. Make sure I got all everything off of there that I wanted to get off of there. Because a lot of the paints and things that I use just make a texture on there. They don't draw that color off. And I've seen a watercolor artist that has big splotches of white after that salt comes off, and she just said it's all timing, but I don't really know that it was all timing or just something special. And let's see, so this must be a little bit of color out there, but I was just seeing if I could pull it off because I don't like it, but it's stuck on there. That's all right. Looks like a little bit of pencil there, but we can do some mark making and stuff if you've got something that you didn't end up loving. Just seeing, there's one other mark there too, but that's all right. So now what do we want to do? We want to mark make. We want to make some pretty stuff. I'm definitely thinking gold. So I got my gold over here. You could do all kinds of things here. You could do different golds. You could do stencils. You could do mark making and Posca pen. I've got gold Posca pen. You could be doing that. We all know this is my favorite though, so I'm just going with it. And I did put a lot more water in this because when this gets super thick, it doesn't work as well. You can't get the yummy circles and things that this pen gives me. And I discovered, and I know I've repeated this in a couple videos, but not everybody watches every video. I've discovered that if your ink gets too thick, then you don't get these lovely, nice lines that draws. So when your ink gets too thick and it's not coming off that pen, definitely thin your ink down. So I'm going to come back over here with some of my very lovely, what I love, circles. It's just my own preference. I love those. This is the only pen that I know of that makes the circles if you're using a dip pen. So if you have a regular dip pen or a glass pen, or you've got some other type of thing that you're dipping into the ink and you're not getting the circles, this is the only thing I've seen that does the circles. And so you might try with a fine paintbrush instead. You might get a stencil that's got some circles that you could do a stencil with. I just happen to like circles. This is like my little signature thing that you see in a lot of the pieces that I do because I like it. You could do it with the gold pens. Obviously, you could definitely get it with the gold pens. So even though this pen nib, and it comes in brass and stainless, they're both slightly different, but they both mostly do the same thing. Even though it's a little more expensive, it's my very favorite artist tool, and so to me that's worth it. Just kind of depends on what you want to spend and what you want to do with your art. But I know now, especially as many pieces as you've seen me pull this pen out, can you imagine if you had also watched all my classes? And all my classes I pull the pen out. I mean, I have worked this pen, totally made its money for whatever I spent on it. It was probably like $50, maybe a little over $50 for the nib, plus a little for the base. But you know, art supplies aren't cheap, number one, and I've used it like every day for like ever since I got it. So we'll say at least a year. And that's, to me, probably the best thing I have bought out of all the things that I have bought. I mean, nothing else has gotten that kind of steady use besides this. Look at these dots. Look at these dots. Look at that. Look at that. Oh my gosh, this piece. This might be some of my new favorite pieces. I love, and of course I'm working the wrong way. I mean, that's just going to be my way. I do it every time without even thinking. Might as well get my little hand thing out, but so far I'm still not on the piece. But pull a little hand guard, especially if you're doing dots. This is just my paint stick. I just hold it up off the paper and use it to support my hand so that I can continue making dots, because you can't make a dot with your hand kind of floating in the air. It just does not work. This is so pretty. Oh, favorite project this week and favorite of these graphite pieces for reals. Okay, so I did circles and dots here. What if I do the pretty lines that I like so much? The pretty, kind of like where we do the, it's not going to show up like it will the black. I don't think I'm going to get the heaviness. We're going to do it anyway though. Oh, there we go. Got to make sure you got enough ink in the nib and maybe slightly twirl it as you do a line, and you'll keep enough ink flowing out there. Ooh, look how pretty. Oh my gosh. And then at the top I will do like a little, maybe a little ribbon or something up here to kind of tie those together so they're not just starting out there in the middle of nothing. And then when you're using your nibs, make sure you are, I could have done that with black. Black would have been nice, but I'm gonna Make sure you're washing these nibs out every once in a while as you're using them, because you don't want the ink to dry in there as you're going. So just wipe your nib out as you're going. But I could have done the black with this, but I've done the black on so many. I thought, let's do a little different here and do gold. It's just fun to try new things and say, okay, it worked or it didn't work. And we know the black works, but I want the gold to work too. Got some pretty little pearls in there now. I'm loving it. It's super delicate, so I might do a few over here. Kind of coming in like so it's not just one little set of lines. Ooh, look at that. Maybe some dots on those. I do like the little pearls on the gold. I think they're pretty. It's like a little piece of jewelry. Pretty, pretty, pretty. All right, what are we going to do here? Let's add some. I like these little areas of dots. So I'm going to do that over here. All right, I'm loving that. I'm also kind of wanting to do some chunky, like a chunky spot or something. What do you think? Would that be too much if I came back with a little bit of, say, the green and added a chunky little mark making somewhere? This one's a brown. I could probably, I think it's a brown. Let's see what this is on our little sample here. Oh yeah, see, it's like a brown. So what if I did something like, you know, those little marks that I like that are like that? Would we even see it? Could it be cool? See, over here I'm kind of thinking we could do that with the green. Ooh, see, I love the green even better. Kind of feeling it on the green one, actually. The brown one I'm kind of on the fence about, because we could put a few of these in here. Just, they don't have to be big. They don't have to be like suck you in the face. They could just be something real subtle that you get close and you're like, oh, look at that. See, there we go. Kind of loving it. Just little kind of surprises that you can see. You've got that little bit of a salt underneath there. Okay, I like that. Do I like it enough for over here? Do I want to make some marks? If you're just not sure, you know, if something's done, stop where it's at, live with it for a while. Somebody said that they put something clear on top and draw on that clear thing, and then they can just wipe the clear thing off, and it kind of gives them an idea. Somebody else mentioned they make copies of it, and then they draw on those copies. I feel like it needs something. What does it need? Needs something. Maybe pastels. I didn't want to throw pastels in there, but what? We could possibly do some pastels. Got those over here. Now the reason I'm even saying maybe a pastel is because it is a completely different texture, and it's a little more raised, and there's lots of color choices, and like this one right here, I'm definitely feeling it. And it doesn't have to be outrageous. Like over here, I did real subtle with the charcoal. I just want some extra texture, a little tiny bit of maybe something in the same colorway, but giving me that extra kind of oomph that I was looking for. Try not to blow. Almost just blew that. Try not to blow because you'll get powder everywhere. I almost want that. So resist the blowing. So almost like maybe a little here. And then I'll pick it up and tap this off spray it a little bit with my Sennelier Soft Pastel Fixative so that that fixes, and I'll need to fix that charcoal too. Anything that you've wet down with water, you know, and you've kind of smeared it around, that's probably okay. Anything that you've powdered on top, that's going to keep shedding. Oh, I love this now. Now I'm digging it. All right. So basically what I'll do, I'll get this off my fingers with my microfiber cleaning cloth. These are invaluable here in my art room. And then I will put a paper towel down and tap off this powder. And then I will spray it with that spray before I start doing anything else to this. And I did show this in the last video, but in one of the videos recently, but I'll show it one more time, because normally I spray outside also, and I use this fixative, the Sennelier Soft Pastel Fixative, and I just fix the powder. I'm not holding it down here, holding it where it activates anything. It does not reactivate, and I hold it like 10 or 12 inches apart apart from my work, and then I just lightly spray that. And then I will let that dry, and then I will do another light spraying, and you can do 2 or 3 layers of spraying if you want. This stuff stinks. You definitely don't want to do this inside. You want to go outside to do this, but I can't film it if I do that. So I'm just gonna let that dry a bit, a little bit extra. Now I want you to do something like this on a sample piece before you do a good piece of art, because sometimes the sprays do darken your colors, and if it's going to darken something to the point that it ruins it, you need to know that before you spray it. And if it's going to ruin it, then just put a piece of wax paper on top of it and slip it into an art sleeve until it's ready to be framed. And I'm kind of thinking, because there's like a smudge out here that looks like a pencil smudge that just came out of the watercolor when I was swishing water around. So what we could do is take a light pencil, we could do whatever kind of pencil we want. I like the Pitt matte pencils, the Faber-Castell. That's a 6B. I like the ones that are matte. Oh yeah, here we go. Pitt Graphite Matte. That's my favorite one. And we could come back in here and do some like soft pencil lines like outside our piece in different areas as an additional mark making element. Look how pretty that is. And then it makes it look like anything in that part of the art is there on purpose. And I like that so much that I'm kind of feeling like maybe we could add that over here too, just as an additional yummy mark making element. Oh, I love it. I love it. Oh yeah. Then we could also, just throwing out some ideas here, we could also decal the edges of a piece like this if we decided, let's pull this tape off, if we decided we love it and we wanted to say float frame it, where it kind of floats in that frame, you could decal these edges, and these would be beautiful as that kind of piece that's floating with a beautiful colored mat behind it and a yummy frame on top of it, like maybe a gold or something. I don't know, like there's some choices there. Look how pretty these are. And then I would just store these in an art sleeve until I was ready to do something with them. Look at that. All right, let's go ahead and decal the edge because I'm feeling it. These are beautiful. Another good paint day. All right, so it's my dual edge ripper. It's my favorite rip tool. This one's got a really bumpy side and a really subtle side. And I'm just getting out a piece of wax paper because if there's anything on the board below it, I just want to keep it clean. And each side, I know I just want to come like about, it's just where I can grip it, just really where I can, no closer than however much it takes for me to grip it. And then let's see if we can do it right there. It's however much you can get that piece of paper up and your finger under it. Here we go. There we go. And then you just tear it towards the ruler. And I do it flipped over because whichever side you're tearing towards the ruler, there's a lip on the paper and the other side is smooth. So this little lip here that we've got, I don't want to see that on the art side. I want it to look like a clean torn edge. Look how pretty that is. That totally made it. So again, I'm just taking about the same amount on this bit, tearing it towards the ruler, and we're just getting a nice subtle line there. Then I'm going to look and see how far do I want to get this one. And I eyeball these. You can certainly measure it if it's an important piece and you need it to be exact. Most of the stuff I'm just doing with you guys, and I save it for, oh, look at that. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Okay, so definitely about right there. Oh, so good. If you don't have, you can do this with a regular ruler too. You don't have to have a rip ruler, but man, this rip ruler sure does make it easy. All right, let's look at this. See? Even eyeballing it, I can get pretty good. All right, that, oh, see? And then once you decide which way is up, sign it like right here in the corner so that you don't forget, because if you take it to the framer will look at it and think, oh, let's frame it this way. And I have a piece where it's hanging on my wall, and every time I look at it, I'm like, that thing's upside down. All right, I'm gonna do this other one because that was gorgeous. Everybody asks me what I do with my art, and you know, because I teach classes and make YouTube videos, I actually keep all the art. I don't try to sell art. I might need it for samples and examples. I have a gallery where I get stuff framed, and every time I go in, she's like, are you ready to bring me some pieces? And I'm like, oh, no. So it's not like I can't put these in galleries. I've had some offers, but I need them. I need them to show me for examples, maybe things I want hanging in my own house, or maybe ideas for later projects. I just am not willing to get rid of them yet because I may need them for photographs. Monday though, I may have so many that I just have no choice. And then I'll just take a whole box up there and be like, all right, let's see what we can do. Oh, look at this one. Totally this way. All right, and you can see the pretty shine that we've got on these. If I shine that in the light, let's see the shine on this one. This one is so beautiful. Definitely beautiful. 2 colors, can you even believe that? And we were just playing with opacities and how heavy we put that paint on, and then a little bit of gold and a few marks. Yum, yum. Hope you enjoyed today's project and I inspired you to play with some opacities on your projects. Can't wait to see what you're making. If you want to tag me on Instagram, that's that 2 Little Owls Art. You can also join the Facebook group I have for art peeps. I link everything below in the video, and I can't wait to see what you're making. All right, I'll see you next time.